Hello and welcome to this new video of mine. If we have some weird background noises, this is my dog playing with a toy. I don't want to kick her out because she's so cute. How can I kick her out? She's my baby. So, as anyone who was active in the news probably yesterday, anyone who is German, and as anyone who follows me on social media knows, we had a large election yesterday. We elected our new parliament. That's my dog, by the way. She's cute and black. She's emo and a communist. Anyway, we elected a new parliament and I started writing the script before the end results were out. I'm still not sure if we already have a final results because it always takes like a long time because some important figures at the top of the election stuff have to say that this is official now, because we have to count in different types of votes and stuff like that, and it's a pretty complex process and nobody understands it. Not even Germans understand the political system. But I thought that it would be kind of cool to just do an explanation video to explain the parties which are in our government now, explain what coalitions are, explain stuff. Germany is probably as democratic as like a capitalist country can be. So we have proper division of power. We have the so-called Bundesverfassungsgericht, which is basically the High Court of Law in Germany, which takes care of our constitution and makes sure that our government does not do stuff which are in conflict with the constitution. So it's pretty important and it's pretty cool. That's my dog's toy, by the way. It looks so fucking disgusting. So, it's pretty important. We also have police and we have military, although because of someone called Adolf Hitler and a lot of Germans thinking, yeah, well, fascism seems pretty lit, we have a military that cannot just get sent somewhere because the German people want it, but we have to get permission by some international force. Like we have to get like a NATO mandate as an example, or permission by the EU, I think. So it's pretty complex, and we also have racist police. The racist police is not as horrible as in the US, but we also have like people who got shot with several gun bullets, like a few towns away from here a few years ago. Some young man died because he stole a car, and the police was like, okay, we're just going to kill him. He was, of course, not white. Our legislative system is divided into federal, state, county, and communal, or like state level. Leah, you're annoying as fuck. I want to record a video. But now let's talk about our parliament. More specifically about the parties that are in our parliament right now. Because we had 6 parties in our government during the last period. And now that we have elected our parliament again, it might be possible that my favorite party is going to be thrown out, because apparently people like being treated like shit by capitalist assholes. Fun fact, the seating arrangement in our parliament is arranged according to with the same structure as the seating arrangement was back in the Paulskirche in the Constitutional Assembly in 1848, and I actually think that this is also the reason why we say left and right, because at the right were the monarchists and capitalist assholes, in the middle were the liberals who were confused, and at the left were social democrats and socialists. So let's start at the right, because I thought, why not go from the shittiest party we have to like the coolest party we have. At the right we have the AfD. Their current slogan is Germany but normal, and that basically means that probably people like me will get treated like shit because we are not straight or stuff like that. Because they're assholes, really are. Some of the members and the youth organization even get monitorized by the German Constitutional Protection Agency, the Verfassungsschutz in German, because they are so fascist. And they are pretty toxic, and they have shot glasses as gifts in the election campaigning, which is pretty cool, but also pretty telling because every other party has, except the Conservatives, has like papes. So some want you to smoke weed, some want you to do shots. Now choose who you prefer. They are also famous for having like a lot of very problematic and very shitty texts, and I decided to record my friends saying some of them in like the most terrible accent I can perform. So yeah, thanks to my friends by the way, and now enjoy the wonderful fascist quotes by modern fascists in Germany in our parliament.
These peaks are nothing more than puppets in the victorious powers of the World War II and have the task of keeping the German people down by introducing molecular civil wars in the urban centers through over-foreignization. Alice Weidel, AfD.
The big problem is that Hitler is portrayed as absolute evil, but we all know that there is no black and white in history. Björn Höcke, AfD.
The problem with #Carnival is that you can't tell if she's 14 or 18. Then, if you're unlucky, you get the 18-year-old #Carnival by Johannes Biese, AfD.
If you don't want Albanians and Kosovars coming into your house as caregivers in the future and then robbing the place, you have to vote AfD. Björn Höcke, AfD.
The Merkel whore lets everyone in. She can do it. Stupid only that it's our people's body which is penetrated here by force. It's a genocide that will be successfully ended in less than 10 years if we don't stop the criminals. Peter Böhringer, AfD.
Hitler and the Nazis are just a bird's nest in over 1,000 years of successful German history. Alexander Gauland, AfD.
Evolution has given Africa and Europe, to put it simply, two different reproductive strategies. Björn Höcke, AfD.
Our once respected army has degenerated from an instrument of national defense to a thoroughly counter-nationalized, multiculturalized intervention force in the service of the United States. By Björn Höcke, AfD.
We Germans, that is, our people, are the only nation in the world that has planted a monument of shame in the heart of its capital. Björn Höcke, AfD.
It's pretty understandable if you would think now that Germany is directly going back to fascism. And I can't argue with that one, except maybe to say something like we can't go back if fascism never left, because we even had like a chancellor who was part of the Nazi party back in the Third Reich and stuff like that. So yeah, people thinking that Germany got completely rid of the fascists is like, that's not true. We still have them, and it sucks a lot. But now let's talk about some of their actual points. You can probably guess they are against abortion. They are against the over-sexualizing of children through the evil gay propaganda, which basically just means telling kids that no, if you're in love with a girl, that's completely fine. And if you don't feel like the gender society assigned to you is this gender you feel like you belong to, that's also completely fine. Just try it out. That's over-sexualizing, of course. They also oppose like a gendered language, which is nothing that non-German speakers can probably understand, but in Germany you have like a generic masculinum, so if I say the teacher, then it's always a male teacher, but there is a female form of the word, and there is like a form of the word which would be gender neutral, and gendering language basically means to ungender language and to make it less about male and more about everyone else. So of course the AfD opposes this thing, because why should we have equal rights and equal language stuff? They also, of course, support the classic family with straight parents and pretty blonde and white children. They actually have those on posters, that's terrible. They also love coal energy, they hate wind power and all renewable energies because the poor birds are going to suffer. Yeah, they also don't believe in climate change, they don't believe in the coronavirus either. So they're pretty much like the Republicans, but in Germany. Although the official counterparts to the Republicans in Germany is the CDU, CSU, which are like the Christian United Democrat or the Christian Social Union. Because there's like, it's complicated. We're just going to call them like Christian Democrats or CDU. Those people are not as terrible as the AfD in regards to the talking points. Problem is that they're now government and they have governed the country now for 16 years. They have actively stopped the increase of renewable energy sources in certain regions of the state. Not the state, but my country, because you have to. States are the small parts, countries, large part. Federal country, federal state. So yeah, they are the party of Angela Merkel. And I know that this sounds pretty left-leaning to many who have no clue about German politics. But they are still pretty right. And the only good things that this party has done in the last year was because they were in a coalition with the Social Democrats. And the Social Democrats kind of made them do it. And also there was a lot of pressure from the streets, and people did tons of protests and stuff like that. So blaming it all on Angela Merkel is kind of unfair towards all the people who made her do the good stuff. And yeah, not nice. But yeah, they basically just want to keep everything the way it is. They just want to pretend like our world is not going to burn in a few years if we don't actively stop climate change. And of course, they don't want to make abortion as accessible as possible, because what would happen if women could just decide over their own body, and also everyone else who have a uterus? I don't care. Yeah, so they are not really nice guys, and they're also involved in some scandals, like the now leading person in the party is Armin Laschet, and he was involved in the death of a man because Armin Laschet and the CDU decided that coal energy and the companies behind it are more important than the activists who are just having a fun time in the forest. And that meant that they kind of, sent the police there, and while trying to kick the activists out of the forest for illegal reasons. This whole police thing got a young man killed. And it was illegal from the start because they just said that, making fire in the forest is so dangerous, so we have to kill you. Nice guys. Let's talk about the Green Party now. The Green Party is actually pretty decent. I will talk about it later. But yeah, they've got 15% in the election yesterday. Yeah. So they've got 15% in the election yesterday, so they will most likely be in our next government. So it's interesting to just look at their points and what they want. Of course, they're green, so they want to fight climate change best possible way. They want to distribute the cost proportionally to the harm people cause, want to make the rich pay, they want to increase and improve public health service, want to improve public transportation service. They want to raise the minimum wage from €8 to €12, which would be an equivalent of $14. And yeah, before now someone asks, well, don't they want to make college free? Yeah, we already have free college in Germany. We have free colleges and we have public and working healthcare system. Everyone has health insurance, and yeah, you won't get ruined because you broke your arm and someone accidentally called like an ambulance. We also have liberals, of course. Every country has some liberal assholes, and I'm going to talk about ours for a second now. They've gotten 11% in the last election, like yesterday. And let's talk about some of the points. So during the pandemic, they opposed many of the government measurements against the spread of the coronavirus. The vice president of the Bundestag, which is our parliament, has said himself that no, of course, I only abide to measurements that I personally find useful and not to the law. So they're basic liberals. They want to reduce taxes for the rich. They want to stop climate change by doing green capitalism and through emission trading, which basically means that rich people can do whatever they want and normal people have to, I don't know, maybe in the end we will only have 1 hour of electricity per day or something like that. So yeah, classic liberal stuff. We also have an official Social Democratic Party in our government. They have been in our government during the last 8 years, I think, from what I remember. I mean, I was 11 when they got elected there. So many of you probably know the SPD, like the Social Democratic Party of Germany, from history class, from reading about German anti-fascism, and socialists getting killed by the fascists, stuff like that. And probably also because some social democrat on Twitter came with, well, the communists didn't oppose Hitler, only the social democrats did it, because the social democrats weren't as much of a danger to Hitler and the fascists as the communists. So the communists were already in proto-Katsats, just to get this out of the way. Nowadays, they don't have pretty much in common with the party they once were. Of course, they still call themselves social democrats, and their youth organization even calls themselves socialists. But yeah, well, they're not. And when they call each other comrades, it is just fucking ridiculous. But waving pride flags while sending queer people back to the countries where they will probably be prosecuted is not a good look. Yeah, and they are not as queer friendly as I'd like to be, of course. They are presenting as it because I want to get all the progressive votes. But they're not. They're shitty towards LGBT people and at least think that being in the government is more important than actually helping those people. They are shitty towards poorer people. Another one abolished a rather shitty unemployment benefit which they have created in the first place. Because they're not as cool as they think they are. And now let's talk about the only pretty socialist or at least social democrat party that we have left in our government. At least we had them 2 days ago. I don't know how it's looking at the moment. The party, the left, yeah, very, very individual name, is an indirect successor of the SED, the Socialist Unity Party of the German Democratic Republic, which was the socialist part of Germany during the Cold War, until the Berlin Wall fell and Germany got united, but it just meant that socialist Germany was now capitalist Germany and capitalists were exploiting us. Still did it even when I was born, so they have to do another video about that. Stay tuned. The left threw out everyone who was problematic because they had to, because, they were a successor of an authoritarian, not very into human rights party, so they had to throw out dumb and shitty people, which they did. But still, when I was campaigning for them, people called us SED, which is not true. We are not that anymore. We just, our origin laid there. So, yeah, the other parties campaigned against my party in a way where they just run around being like, oh my god, the evil communists, I want to take your cars away. No, guy, we want to take the force Lamborghini maybe away from some rich asshole, but not from you. You need your car because the government failed to get a proper public transportation service. Okay, the party has a lot of very decent points, like $50 minimum wage, maximum working hour of 40 hours per week, no 50 hours weeks and stuff like that. Normalize working only 30 hours per week. They want to abolish fixed term contracts without a specific reason. They also want to get every child a laptop and a printer and good internet so they can do proper homework at home. They want to establish a full day school system so we can help kids just doing stuff, learning an instrument, stuff like that, without the parents having to pay for it, which always increases the gap between rich and poor. They want to make college even freer than it already is, so if they would have been elected properly, we could have maybe made it possible that college students don't have to work even more during their college time, and that maybe they can just focus on studying. What an idea, people not having to work while they're doing 40 hours per week just for their college degree. Advanced shit, of course. The party, the left, also wants to abolish our German two-class healthcare system and replace it by a solidarity health insurance for all. They want to fight the climate change and make the rich pay for the damage they caused, and want to get climate neutral in 2035. So yeah, they have a lot of decent points, and they just have the problem that they have a bad aesthetic, and that idiots who think that governing is more important than actually having the people they're governing. Yeah, that they pretend like, I don't know what we are. People are just dumb. So now that you have learned something about the parties that are in our current government, hopefully, we have to talk about coalitions, because you can probably imagine that none of these parties will ever have an absolute majority. The party which has like the majority at the moment has 26%, I guess, like something around that, because as I've said, we are not done counting. So they always have to get into a coalition with another party, one or two. And that means that those parties sit down together and then they negotiate and discuss and create a contract where they write down all the important things they want to do in the next year. So basically, the Social Democrats can say, okay, well, I want to raise the taxes a little bit. And then the Liberals come and say, yeah, well, we can do that, but only if we have no speed limitation at the highways. And then the Greens come and are saying, well, but that's kind of dumb. But then the Liberals say, well, but then we don't raise taxes if you don't give us what we want. And then the Green and the Social Democrats sit down and be like, okay, shit happens. So it's pretty undemocratic, I think, because, I mean, you vote for a party and in the end they will throw out many of the promises and many of the stuff they said during the election campaigning just because they definitely want to govern. And, I mean, it could be possible that they would just, you know, I mean, they could always work to have a majority for a certain law, but that would take a lot of time. And who wants to spend time doing stuff when you could also just have a comfortable seat? Yeah, it sucks. Because they will always adapt to their partners and thereby shift away from the things they were originally talking about. And here's a problem that I have with the Green Party, because they have never been in the federal government before, but they have been in a lot of state governments. So I would judge them, but what they did then, it was basically that they always had the tendency to throw out the cool stuff and just do the bad stuff together with the other guys, because they definitely wanted to keep being in the government. That meant that even in August 2021, they still deported people back to Afghanistan. And that even though the federal part of the Green Party campaigned against a certain highway and the building of that one, they kind of forgot that it were the Green Party in the first place who made it possible to build that highway. And that's why I don't trust the Green Party, because they have broken a lot of the promises because they wanted to be in the government. Because power is more important than actually, you know, doing something good, and because they don't have the balls to go to the Conservatives and be like, okay, well, you want to govern with us because you need us, so we can at least make some small good stuff. So yeah, coalitions are a large problem. I don't like them. They're pretty much undemocratic because, I mean, you elect a party and in the end they're doing what they want anyway. But I think it's comfortable for the rest of the world to know that even though we will have like a long period of like fighting about coalitions now, like always, nothing will change. Because the Green Party will probably come together with the Liberal Party and then they will sit down and be like, okay, what do we want to do now? With who do we want to go into the coalition? And then they might go to the Social Democrats or they go to the Conservatives, and either way, we will have a government which is very, very bougie and not interested in the interest of the people. So, I'm very frustrated. I would really appreciate you saying something nice in the comments, like giving a thumb up, something like that. Sharing the video maybe with your friends who should know something, like a tiny bit about German politics. And yeah, thanks to my friends for having me out by reading out fascist quotes. It was pretty funny. We were very, very drunk, because you can't watch like the results of an election where your favorite party is probably going to get kicked out of parliament and not get drunk. So I'm hungover, I'm tired. I hope you appreciate this video. I hope you learned something. I mean, I learned something doing the research. And yeah, give me your support, I would really appreciate it. See you later and have a nice day and bash the pash.